Let's talk about The Half King by Melissa Landers. Be aware that this video contains spoilers for the whole book. So if you don't want to know anything about the book, please don't watch this video. This discussion follows the last 4 Read With Me videos on Thursdays. And I finished the book last week. So let's talk about it. And at first, let's talk about the fact that I thought that this was a standalone. No, it's not. I'm quite sure I did some research before and there was not a hint on any website that this is the first book of a series. But as I got to the end of the story, I was quite confused because this couldn't be the end of the story. And I was right. I googled again after I finished the book and now it says book 1. So I don't know anything about book 2, but this is book 1. I wish I would have known this earlier, but it is what it is. Let's talk a bit about The Half King. This book is written from Ceres' POV. She is our female main character. She's an acolyte in the whole religious order, and every second-born child needs to go to the religious order. Ceres is from one of the 4 noble families in this society, and every firstborn child of these 4 noble families is cursed by the goddess, and every second-born child needs to go to the order and works in the whole religious thing. So Ceres had no choice by that, and she is now supposed to be a seer and gets magic abilities. But she only has a few days left for that, because everyone should get their magic powers before their 18th birthday. And there are only a few weeks left until Ceres has her 18th birthday. So she is quite nervous about that, because at this point she doesn't have any magic abilities. But her reverend mother had a vision, and this vision lets her send Ceres to the palace to work for the king, because the vision showed her that Ceres maybe is the only chance to break the curse that lays on the 4 noble families. The goddess in this world cursed these 4 families because these families betrayed her a long time ago and tried to kill her, and now they are cursed. One family is cursed with perilous beauty, one with destructive knowledge, one with insatiable bloodlust, and the royal house, which has only Kian, the current king, left, is cursed with vanishing. So he vanishes every night and nobody knows where to, but every day he vanishes for a little bit longer, and nobody in his family lived longer than their 25th birthday, and then they vanished forever. And also the king is the only person that can control the priests, because the priests have to follow every order from the king. And if you can tell, I have a pretty hard time summarizing this plot, this story, because there is so much going on. The whole religious thing, the curse, prophecies. Then we also have a rebellion going on. We have family secrets, we have betrayals, we have a lot of drama. We have queer characters that nobody knows are queer, or almost nobody. We have the magical powers, and also people that shouldn't have magical powers, and that have to hide that they have powers. And let's not forget the romance in the story. As I said, a lot going on, so much that I can't remember everything. I'm so sorry. But nonetheless, let's get a little bit more in depth about the Half King. And I think it's best to talk about the 4 parts we've read. In the first part, so chapter 1 to 8, I really enjoyed the start of the story, how we are getting into the whole world building, get to know the characters, and I was really intrigued by the whole premise of the King's Curse, especially the King's Curse, because the other curses are not discussed that much, which is totally okay. The king is the main focus, so Kian and Cerise, the new seer for the palace, without the real power to see, but rumors got around and everybody knows that she should have the ability to break the curse, and they all have their hopes up, which I really liked, but also the first 100 pages showed that this whole world building is super misogynistic. So Cerise shouldn't have sex because everybody tells her that this would dampen her magic ability or even stop her from getting magic abilities. So she should stay innocent, and the male priests in general are more powerful, have a higher rank in society, and I don't like that. And I'm really glad that Cerise starts to question this throughout the story. Sadly, not on her own, which is a main topic of the book, that she doesn't do things on her own. And this was one of the points that really started to annoy me throughout the book, that informations are always provided to Cerise, that she is a very passive character in this whole book, and that she is more like part of the team than the leader of the team and just runs with the others. Chapter 9 to 15, so the second part of the book, I started to recognize how much this story is, how much topics are discussed in this story, how much world building is in it, how much characters have influence on the story and series, and it started to get a bit much for me personally, and I still can't remember all the names correctly because we had Father Padron and Commander Petrus, which was confusing in itself for me that the names were so similar. We had Nero, we had Derek, which I really liked, we had Kian the King, and I'm not sure if I missed one person from the main team, but in the first half of the book they find the information they need to start their journey, their heist, to find the sword that they need to break the curse, and they go on this heist. And I have to say, I was really surprised by the end of the second part of the book and the whole reveal that Cerise can visit Kian in his vanishing time. So in this other realm, that was pretty depressing, pretty sad, and I really understand that this whole realm feels like a nightmare for Kian to visit every night and sometimes on the days now. But in the third part, So chapters 16 to 25. I liked the fact that Ceres got revealed as an heir of the goddess, that she has the blood of the goddess, and with that more magical powers than expected. She's not a seer, but she has the same magic abilities like Father Padron, which was a big tell for me which person is her real father. But it was unbelievable how fast she gets hold of her magic abilities, because it only needed a few hours with Nero and then she was already better in managing her power than Nero itself. Nope, that was not for me. I don't believe that. It was unrealistic. But I liked the friendship between Nero and Ceres and wished we would have get a little bit more in depth with that. And I really liked the friendship between her and Derek. He really is the funny character in the team who lightens all up a bit. And I also need to mention Ceres' hound. Her new pet that grew unbelievably fast. So in that term, it was unbelievable that it took so much time for the whole group to question what this hound really is. And I also question a bit that this hound can understand every word of Ceres. Not normal for a hound or a pet in general, but okay. The last part of the book had some surprises in it, but wasn't surprising in itself, if this makes sense. So I haven't expected that Nina is Ceres' mother, because I think it was never mentioned that she is so much older than Ceres, or I have forgotten it, which could also be the case. I know myself, this is possible. But that is why I never thought this was an option, because I thought Nina was only a few years older than Ceres. And the end in general was okay for me. I didn't think the sacrifice of Nina was necessary, and I don't think they needed to hurt Blue that much. And I really am annoyed by the fact that Father Padron got away. And that was the point where I started to get that this was not a standalone, because we can't live with an end where Father Padron got away after everything he has done. And the epilogue also told me that this can't be the end. So even if the curse is broken now and Ceres and Kian can now be happy together, the end was not 100% satisfying, which is understandable if this is the first book in a series. But there is one more point that I want to discuss, and that is the romance between Kian and Ceres. I don't know if I liked the romance, or more the way the romance was portrayed, that this was also sexual after Ceres has zero experience in the first half of the book, and I don't think we needed the spice here, and it was not that well written for me personally. In this case, I would have preferred a closed door romance, which is surprising to me, because normally I like spice, but in this case it felt a little bit wrong. But I think that's it. That is all I have to say about The Half King by Melissa Landers. And the only question that is open now is, will I read more of the series? Honestly, I don't know. I liked this book. It was entertaining. I'm glad that I've read it, but do I need more of it? Probably not. So I think I will DNF this series now after book 1 and will not read book 2. But please tell me in the comments, what do you think of The Half King? I'm really interested in discussing this book with you. Like the video if you wanna, follow my channel, and I will see you next time. Oh, before I say bye, I need to tell you which books we will read next. I almost forgot about that. I'm so sorry. The next book we will read starting next Thursday is Darling Venom by Parker S. Huntington. I'm really curious about the story and can't wait to read it with you. So with that, I can now say bye!